Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of our untitled Sarazanmai podcast.
Subtitled anime in the house!
This time featuring one subtitled anime.
We out here, finally.
Yeah.
We've been planning on having guests the entire time, but, takes a while. We want to let the show settle in to get started for real.
Gotta find your voices.
Alright. How about episode 4 of Sarazanmai? How about the fact that my boy Toy is a killer?
He's not really a killer because his brother technically gave the finishing blow.
I guess, yeah.
But that wound was definitely fatal.
Let me tell you something. He's my son, and
he's my son. Trust me.
He's my son.
He's my son.
I mean, they're all my
sons. Boyfriend.
They're all my sons, but he's like my most son.
Agreed.
The toy ship got even stronger this episode.
Oh god, I shipped them so hard. When Katsuki ran up and was hugged him and was like, also, can we help kidnap this girl? I was living.
It's like, let's be degenerates together.
Sarazanmai is furthering her descent into
Fujoshi Dome. Yeah.
when he blushed at how pretty he looked, it was just great. I was like,
it was so good. It was so good.
You're good kids. I love you guys. You kids have fun. Although I feel bad for
Enta, my poor sweet child.
This is no way that they this can't end with them all happy. We're heading down like a Penguindrum.
OT3, give me the OT3.
It's got to be. I think if we're just gonna go full speculation just for a minute before we get to the episode proper. I think, if anything, the cops will sacrifice themselves to make the main three happy.
You think?
No, that would be interesting.
I think that's a possibility.
I don't trust cops to do anything.
Cops.
No, cops don't. Ikuhara's not gonna let cops redeem themselves.
Well, that's the thing. They can because they're cops. They can only redeem themselves by sacrificing themselves for actually good people.
Oh my god.
I
just hope the cops suffer. I don't like cops.
Same.
I just know. I was like, I don't want to be morally gray about the cops.
I think if anyone could do moral grayness about cops correctly, it would be Ikuhara, though.
So I actually, just the very first episode, I totally misread where we were headed and what the role that the cops would have. I thought the cops would probably have a role in theoretically and quite literally policing gender, right? Because I kind of thought that's where we were headed, and capitalism, right? So you have this imagery of the Amazon boxes and all this stuff,
right.
and it did not go that way. And I remember, I think it was Sakura Buru who's writing about the production that the staff said you won't know what this is about until episode 5, and I totally see what they mean because I don't have a grasp on what what's the story that we're trying to be told. I'm not sure yet. I'm kind of feeling it out.
I definitely do think the capitalism stuff's still there. To talk about this episode directly, Toy and his brother are doing bad shit because capitalism fucking sucks.
Exactly.
His parents, got scammed, and because of that, gotta pay the bills somehow, and you pay the bills by crime. So I definitely think that capitalism shit's still there.
The interesting thing with the cops so far is just how much of a relative non-presence they are. They do their thing every week now, but they aren't taking any real active agency outside of that. All we know is, all right, every episode the cops are gonna shoot a guy. Cool. So I'm deeply interested to see what ends up being done with them when they start doing more things.
Yeah.
As of right now, I think this episode especially is a really interesting study of violence and of gun violence specifically because it's contextualized in the fact that the cops are shooting people, number one, and then obviously there's the criminal unlawful use of firearm violence by Doi and his brother and theoretically the other Yakuza members.
Violence which is, compared to the cops, if anything, far more gray. Whereas, the cops are pretty directly bad in the way they shoot and kill people. Killing people in this, they killed a guy who was definitely bad and was planning on, knocking off Toy's brother in the first place.
Yeah, but Toy's
So like, it's a lot more gray.
Toy's brother very like specifically ascribes himself to be bad, right? And I'm not sure that he did the same for Toy, but he's like, I am a bad person because I need to survive, right? And I don't know if he feels that Toy is a bad person. I'm pretty sure Toy feels that he's a bad person.
For sure.
I don't think Toy's a bad person.
Well,
but
it's interesting insofar as he says you have to be a bad person to be able to survive in this world. And I would say myself, ideologically, that capitalism creates a world where you must be bad in order to survive, insofar as, like, right, all our products are produced by, like, borderline slave labor, many of them, right? So like, the systems you're complicit in under capital make you a bad person in that way. And obviously this was more direct. This was like, you have to commit crimes to survive, but I feel like it could tie in there.
Actually, I think that's slightly wrong. Because it wasn't just only the bad people survive, it was to survive you
have to be
the good people shouldn't survive. It was more like a normative statement, honestly. Like,
yes.
there was a degree of like, it's maybe not just, but like acceptable that those who are not bad die is kind of their fault in a way. Chiaki almost seems to be blaming like his parents
for sure.
and for like their own folly in a way. And I think that's like even more interesting because it is wrong, but it's wrong in a very interesting way. There's a lot this episode of Chiaki and as a result Toy, I think his name's Chiaki. I feel like that was what it was. Saying stuff that really reminded me of what Sanetoshi said in Penguindrum. Stuff about how like people of the world are like rotten and like they need to like disappear.
Yeah.
To create like a truly just world or whatever. And that stuff is like, man, this really isn't a sequel to Penguindrum.
And I mean, it goes really hard on that with the fact that the older brother is participating in this crime to earn the money to like let his family keep their stuff, which is like just the setup.
Stuff, which I think is important. Keep their stuff. Keep these material desires. That's and
sure.
I thought Toy's storyline was interesting because so like it's the idea of the soba shop and its connection to like family, right? And then you actually have like it being a physical shop, and then it makes money and it allows them to survive and it gives them shelter, it's a place to live. And then when you juxtapose it to Enta's desire of love and romance, I thought it was a very interesting change of pace, right? So you get like this very kind of soft Enta story, right? That his desire is kind of divorced from material, right? But it's also grounded to material because of the little ankle bracelet, right? So like that's like this physical symbol, and then you have this survival of wanting your soba shop, wanting to keep our stuff. Like we have to do bad stuff to keep our stuff. And I thought that was the stuff element and how it relates to capitalism and the boxes and all that. I thought was interesting.
No, you're definitely right, because desire is sort of mediated through commodity in this series, insofar as if we're talking about the bracelet, which is going to like represent Enta getting back together and bringing the whatever they are, the dynamic
golden
duo, right?
Or something.
The golden lovers back together. That is a product he's purchasing from Amazon. The Amazon box houses the Sada cosplay or the gun. So you're definitely spot on with the shop there.
Capital provides the means for him to shoot somebody.
Do you feel the gun is, because like we look at the costume and the bracelet as like these symbols of capitalism, do you look at the gun that way? Because I kind of don't. Because in Japan, you just can't. It's not like here that you just go
say that, like,
buy a gun.
I wouldn't say that the bracelet or the costume are necessarily like symbols of capitalism. It's just that
surrogates of
the desires for those are mediated through capitalism.
Okay, I actually think there's a way to see the gun that way, which is the gun represents Yakuza and crime and such, and those have to happen because people are put down in capitalism, because Kazuki and Toy are in a situation, or not Kazuki, just Toy and his brother are in a situation where like they're not going to be able to survive and maintain like their hitherto existing way of life without committing crimes. Like, capital, the seedier part, the more obviously seedy parts of capital are represented by the gun, but they're also, like, not really blamed for it. Like, it's not their fault that they had to take the gun, even if it's still a bad thing.
No, and I mean,
vibe I get.
Going even further back, like the fact that their parents had to take on a shitty Yakuza loan shark loan is obviously capitalism.
I'm just kind of curious on how, like, because I think Penguin and Jerry and I have talked about this before, but like how Penguindrum was a very kind of soft critique of capitalism, and I wonder if Sarazanmai is going to take a more heavy-handed approach. I think that they kind of started to do with just the Amazon boxes, right? Like, it's a recognizable logo. But I'm just wondering if it's going to be like more present, not so a soft critique, but a harder, harsher one.
I think at least, like, on the level of, like, I guess subtext, it already is.
Yeah, but I mean, like, beyond subtext, right? Like,
no, for sure. I am curious to see that if, like, the Kappa Zone stuff ties back in. I think if we see that happen, it'll happen around Sada, so we'll have to, like, wait and see how Sada, like, figures into the main plot instead of just being, like, in the background.
No,
which I'm sure she will. There's almost no way it doesn't.
Sada I find interesting because in a show with just boys that are present, and even Enta's sister's a little tomboy, she is like this benchmark for Japanese constructed femininity, which I find really interesting, especially because you have Kazuki cross-dressing to be her, and then you have kind of, Toy. I think Toy embodies kind of a boyish masculinity that I think is common in like, rough and tough boys, and Enta's kind of somewhere like on the more soft feminine side, despite him being an athlete. But there's no like like symbol of femininity in a show that clearly is playing with gender. Even the cops, right, are very like sexual and stuff like that. So I kind of I want to see like where we go with that in terms of gender construction and stuff like that.
No, for sure. We are presumably getting the kidnapping plot going on next episode.
I hope so. That sounds fun.
That would be our like first contact with Sada outside the bounds of just a television screen.
I mean, I feel like we got to, because A, they set that up and it didn't happen, and B, like, that's a plot to help Haruka, except, like, Kazuki's all, I fucking despise Haruka.
What? Kazuki, like, dude, decide. Are you jealous because, Haruka likes Enta more? Like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing, actually.
Be fuck you, man.
Yeah. Like, I'm doing all this for you, and you don't appreciate it, and you're hanging out with Enta. Every post ED cliffhanger, what did we get? We got the kiss, we got I hate Haruka,
no, you got the
I hate Haruka, and then we got the Haruka is in a wheelchair. Like, it's been killing it.
I just started watching Game of Thrones, and I'm like, oh, Bronn. Bronn, when I saw Haruka in the wheelchair, I was like, oh my god, I made the connection. Yeah, well, the kiss, and I kind of want to talk about the episode titles, because that was something I loved in Penguindrum. I love when they drop the episode titles. Like it's like bone chilling, powerful. And this show,
the titles have been stellar.
Wow, I want to connect, but I want to take. I fucking felt that. You know what I mean? It's like, man, like it all just plays. It's like Ikuhara is great at this emulsification of everything that makes anime cool and weird, and just puts it into, like, finds every element, every little crevice and nuance of cool stuff, and he puts it together.
And this episode's title was like a cool pun, because
I want to connect, but you're so far away.
And soba,
it's tsunagaritai kedo soba ni inai.
Soba is like, you're far away, you're not here.
Well, no, soba means to be close, but like you are not close.
Right, because it's nai at the end. Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
So, and obviously the episode was centered around the soba shop. So, like, dog, you fucking genius. You
also,
bitch.
connection I made. In Penguindrum, short Penguindrum spoilers, everyone, be aware. I spoiled all of Ikuhara's shows in these podcasts already, but when Kamba is talking to his dead parents in Penguindrum, he is in a soba shop.
Oh my god, I forgot about that. You're right.
It might be ramen. It might be ramen. It's some kind of noodle shop though. And I think it might be soba. So that feels like a connection there. I'm just saying. I think there's a connection that Ikuhara is trying to make between the two works, like intertextually, of how the same motivations which would spur people to join a cult would also spur people to join the Yakuza.
It kind of is. I mean, like, I'm not too familiar with how organized crime works in Japan, but like, if you look at gangs in like America domestically, like you could see how they're both good and bad. And the reason why I think about this is because with the Sonic trailer that dropped recently, they for some reason used Coolio's Gangster's Paradise.
Yeah.
And
for a movie where he's fucking working with the cops.
Exactly.
Jesus Christ.
Which is just like all of, but like remembering what Gangster's Paradise is about, how it's a haven for marginalized people of color who are economically like hurt by capitalism, by all this stuff, and how you find salvation and community in gangs, but how it becomes cyclical and all that stuff. So I can kind of see, again, I don't know how Yakuza works, but like kind of that, it's almost not cult-like, but I can see how you're drawn to these communities for salvation. And in their case, it's economic salvation.
For sure. Like if you're in a society that's like both alienating and also just like economically hard to live in, but gangs and cults both provide a sense of like no, for sure, like specifically a sense of family, especially which notably in this episode
does not have.
Their parents died. They still have the aunt and uncle,
right, yeah,
but like they're clearly not as close with them as they were with their parents. Those photos with the parents,
every
them, like,
scene in
close.
The house and in the soba shop is dark. Right, so like in present day especially, right? So like when Toy's leaving, it's like it's a very dark, right? And in his room, every shot in his room is dark.
For sure, like they want to preserve it, but I don't think it's because like it's a warm, comfortable place for them anymore. They just feel like they should. And yeah, as I was saying, gangs and cults provide similar like connections like that, and also like in many ways provide like similar economic situations. Both of them like. Neither of them like really actually like has like a method for revolution or anything, but they both offer like a change in the circumstances in some way. And that feels notable with what Ikuhara's covered thus far in his career.
They're more communal.
What did you guys make of, and I guess this is one of the things I've been struggling to kind of find sense in, because I know there is sense in it. Like, for example, this episode, when you look at the desire of this guy wanted to make soba with bath water, right? Like, what are we doing there? I'm not following that.
I think it's just...
Is it just Ikuhara being goofy, or...
In most episodes' cases thus far, it's just been, like, weird, goofy perversion related to the overarching subject of the episode. So in this case, they're like, all right, we got soba noodles, what funny, like,
bathwater,
weird perverted thing. It's like, all right, women's bathwater to boil.
But it is
soba.
perversion, and I think that's important.
No, for sure.
It is supposed, like, the sexuality
perversion.
of it is key.
Yeah, for sure.
I wasn't sure if I was like trying to read too much into it or not, because every episode was like, damn, I was like, I don't really, especially this one, I was like, soba bathwater. Soba noodles, by the way, overrated.
They're fine. They're pretty good.
In the noodle
Yakisoba's
kingdom,
alright.
it like pho and ramen are better. Udon is much better. Like it's just
okay. I agree on that. Udon's way better.
Like soba is like clearly behind those three for sure. That was my hot take. I had to get in. I love this episode, by the way. I loved it. It was different than the other ones. It was far less goofy, which I think. I don't know. Like I think a lot of shows have a turning point in when it completely like tonally changes. I don't know if this is going to be it for Sarazanmai, but if it is, I think it's clear that this is a demarcation.
I predicted it would be episode 6 because that's when they'll get like 5 of the silver plates that they need to like get another wish granted, and that feels like it'll be like it just like has to be like a big turning point,
big character conflict now because
plus it's halfway through the show,
right? Because someone. Like, they have enough for a gold dish, so they're fighting over who gets the gold dish. They cash in the gold dish, and maybe there's implications there. The Kappa have not been forthright with them about, like, what
although
exactly
it could be next episode, because the cops this episode were like, yo, we're about to do shit for real, though.
That's what I'm saying. Cops.
Well, no, exactly. Next episode, they're not going to do anything for real, because he's like, no, let's wait. But the episode after next episode, they might, which would line up with episode 6 for shit to hit the fan. Yeah.
Two things on that. One, when Enta wished for the cucumbers, the cucumber roll, that proved to me that the kappas are indeed powerful enough to grant a wish, right? So in Penguindrum, we kept hearing this like very like, oh, the Penguindrum, like it wasn't tangible, it was just something that you just kept hearing, the Penguindrum. Like, so this was like, okay, so like this is legit, like we're establishing this rule of, yes, the kappa, the gold plate can grant a wish, like you got this. So like that, to me, I was always wondering, like, I know that kappas can't be trusted, but they would appear to have the wish granting power.
No, that's true. That the betrayal wouldn't be in that sense. You're right.
The second thing
in another sense, though,
is about the cops.
He asked for like a year's supply, and it was just like a giant one.
Yeah,
so,
that's
like,
true.
It might not be like technically what he wants.
Also, what a like crappy food to wish for. Like a cucumber roll is like the worst thing ever. Like, why do you just want rice and cucumber?
Kappa eat cucumbers, so he had those like kappa urges.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Turned into a kappa, yeah.
No wonder they're always eating cucumbers. I was like,
no, exactly. In this episode, Kazuki is fucking munching down on a cucumber.
It was so cute.
Let me tell you, when I've been in Japan, I just see like cucumber on a stick, and I was like, why? I was like, is this a thing? Like, I don't even.
Was it even like pickled or anything?
Yeah, no, it's just literally like cold cucumber on a stick. You know, you're walking down Kyoto Street, and there's a cucumber and a stick vendor, and I was like, I don't get it. I was like, I'm not. The other thing I wanted to mention was the cops, right? So in the OP, everybody's doing the little like pose with the finger on the head and like in the water. So then you have Kazuki with Haruka, you have Toy with his brother, you have Enta with Kazuki, and then you have the cop. Let's call him the pretty cop with the like, and then behind him is the glasses cop. So what I'm deducing is everyone that's doing the little pose and then like the more faded out figure, that's who they're doing this for. So then I'm like, okay, so this guy is probably doing something for I don't know the cop's names yet, for the other cop, for the glasses cop. And the glasses cop kind of seems to like lead him, like you guys mentioned before. It's like, no, let's wait, right? So this guy is listening to what glasses cop is saying. So I kind of think that power dynamic's interesting, and like maybe there are feelings involved there.
Well, something that I think is interesting is that Glasses Cop, which I think is Mabu.
Mabu.
It's Hideo and Mabu, but I don't remember which is which for sure.
Mabu?
I think Mabu.
My son, Mabert?
He isn't in that scene. Like, it's just Hideo as like the cops go. Whereas even though like Enta's like most important person is Kazuki, Kazuki is still in the scene. So I wonder why only one of the cops is in that part of the OP. Like it's got to mean something.
Yeah, that's probably like the biggest question mark for me is like what role, and I mentioned it before, what role are their cops gonna have in this series? Because I think I'm going to go back to what I cited earlier from Sakuraburu, where 5 episodes in is when we're going to know what's going on. Because I'm grasping what they're trying to say, but I'm still, thematically, I'm not nailed down yet. I'm still kind of all over the place. I'm not sure exactly. I feel like we're going down some Penguindrum paths, but I'm not entirely sure. And I know at some point, like, this whole Monster of the Day thing is going to totally change.
No, it feels like this series has spent a lot more time early on establishing characters and less so sort of nailing down themes. I guess it feels like Utna-ish in that way, where like Utna took a while to really like set up its ideas.
Yeah.
Whereas like Penguindrum, you have obviously for all of his shows you need to wait till the end to see like what's really being said. But for both Penguindrum and Yurikuma Arashi,
Yurikuma, you did not need to wait to the end to figure out.
Yurikuma
watch the fucking trailer.
No, Yurikuma was very forthright with its thematic ambitions, but even Penguindrum.
Do we have theories?
Stage and things, you had a better idea.
Do we have theories on the otter yet? Because I don't.
We went over this a little bit in our previous podcast episode. There's an interesting contrast between the Otter Empire and the Kappa Kingdom. It's interesting that the Otters are the like evil malicious force seemingly, but that Kappa Zone, which is not good because it's Amazon, is the Kappa in some way. We don't know if it's like literally like owned by the Kappa or if they like appropriated the Kappa for the name of it, but Kappa Zone is actually run by the Otters. So there's a lot of stuff up in the air with that, and it's very interesting.
We really need to see more of the cops. I need to see more of the cops.
Never thought I'd hear you say that.
Well, I don't need to see more of the cops in like a good way, but like, you know,
It's a funny sentence.
to know what's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish the show would just like drop all of it like right now, and I could just like watch the
Like
whole
Netflix
thing like
Me
3
too.
times.
I have a trip tomorrow, and I just probably wouldn't go. I'm like, sorry, I really need to. You know, like, this has been a fun experience because it's the first Ikuhara show, like, that I think everyone's watching. I wasn't really... When did Yumukuri Yamarashi come out? It was 2014?
2015?
Was, like, Anti-Twitter...
15,
I don't think Anti-Twitter was, like, a thing back then. Like,
It existed to some degree, I think, but like I wasn't on it.
now
Yeah,
it's
for
like...
sure.
Well, now that we're on it, it's the only time that matters.
Yeah, true.
And it's fun. It's fun to see, like, people legitimately excited and people legitimately, like, trying to piece together things.
No, for sure.
I love the line, justice means nothing to the strong. Justice means nothing to the strong. And that was this episode. And I kind of like the idea of justice for Toy in particular. Like, Toy had to take justice into his own hands, right? To save his brother, to protect his family.
Yeah. Like, justice is something that people without power cling to like try and protect them, but ultimately the people with the power are wholly unconcerned and unconstrained by the concept of justice. And so it's this like blind hope you just have to put into things as someone who has no agency, and just hope that a sense of justice guides the application of agency by others who do possess it.
So justice
which
can
is really
be...
interesting.
It could be two things, right? We can look at justice as an institution or justice as a sense, right? Because I do think that
for sure.
I think that they're two different things. So when you look at the institution of justice, we obviously look at the cops.
No, and I mean the fact that it's raising the idea of justice when the police and to a degree like the court systems are as prominent as they are is very interesting. As Zaria noted when we watched it, all of the people that the cops have killed thus far have been people who were like picked up on suspicion of doing weird stuff, but then didn't actually end up getting convicted. And so they walked, and then the cops sort of doled out vigilante justice. So there's interesting stuff going on there.
It's fun to watch this. Now, Code Geass movie is coming out next week, so I've been...
Oh, I'm so excited.
I've been watching the recap movies, and I'm having fun and just like watching, and that's why the idea of justice really got me thinking. Because when you're watching Code Geass and like these terrorists talking about justice and taking justice within their own hands against imperialism, and I'm looking at Toy taking justice in his hands against capitalism. So it's like, it's something that it's been very prevalent in my mind, so it really, really stuck out to me. Like this idea of, and Penguindrum has a lot of that too. Kanba takes justice into his own hand, right? He's like, what's happening to Himari is not fair. And Shoma plays a more passive role of like the good boy, right? I'm going to follow the rule. And then Kanba is like, no, I will take justice into my own hands. I will do what's right for my sister.
For sure.
This show's fun.
No, I'm very curious in seeing like fully what direct. I say this like every episode.
Yeah.
Like I'm curious in seeing what direction this goes. Because I'd have to do like another podcast like in a year from now when like I've rewatched it multiple times. Be like, okay, here's the definitive take.
Can I ask you both a question?
Yeah,
And
sure.
it's kind of comparing this to Furukawa's job on Review Starlight, and how. Well, one thing I thought was funny was in Review Starlight, Furukawa is a famous a protege of Ikuhara, used Tokyo Tower, and then in Ikuhara's very next work, he goes, "Ha! Tokyo Tower, watch this sky tree," which I thought was funny.
No.
But kind of how I felt that Starlight, right, and they have kind of a very similar structure, right? So like every episode is a review, can look at a kind of monster of the day. You have like this battle, and then it says something. Each episode is focused on a specific character, And I find the way that they're telling the story very, very similar. Like, I feel like the structure in which they're telling this narrative is very, very similar, except Ikuhara is just trying more smoke screens, right? And every episode just reminds me of Starlight in that way. Like, you have this A part, right, where you have kind of this exploration of this character, right? So in Starlight episode 2, we're like, exploring Juna, exploring Tendo Maya, exploring Futaba and Karuko, right? And now we're exploring Toya, Enta, right? All this stuff. And then the B part of the episode, right after the review, you have like them going into Kappa Zombie doing stuff, and then you get at the end after the review, you get this reveal about our characters, right? So you have Juna having this reveal of what her work really means, and Kaoru and Futaba, and so on and so forth. And then at the end, our characters obviously like find something. So I don't know, I just thought that was really interesting coming off Starlight. Like, I think it's being told really similarly, and I thought that was cool.
Yeah,
I don't know if you guys felt the
sure.
same way.
Though at the same time, I think watching this only like less than a year after Starlight really confirms to me that like people saying that Furukawa had like no original ideas were like totally wrong.
Yeah.
Because they're still like, they're told very similarly, but there's still like a clear like different feel
Totally
to
different.
it. Like
Totally.
Ikuhara absolutely has his own feel, and like Furukawa, you can watch Furukawa's work and be like, this man is influenced by Ikuhara, but he's not Ikuhara, and like that I think comes across very clearly now, like watching these.
Oh my
things.
God! I mean, because in Starlight, right? You have a couple themes, right? You have a couple ideas that are being juggled. In Sarazanmai, you have. I mean, we've already talked about like 10 different things, right? And like capitalism is not even at the damn forefront of it, and we spent almost like 15 minutes on it, right? So it's like this show is doing so much in such a condensed period of time, which is just incredible.
No, and I think one of the more defining aspects of Ikuhara, and one that wasn't too prominent in Review Starlight, and that's part of what sets this apart as feeling distinctly Ikuhara, is like how many proper nouns Ikuhara has. So he has these like very specific named symbols, right? So he has desire, he has kapazon, he has
Kappa zombies.
Yeah, he just has like very specific named first letter capitalized concepts that are, and symbols that his given works are constructed out of and around in a way that Review Starlight had like brilliance, had kageyaki. But that was sort of it in terms of like the proper nouning.
Yeah, no, that's a
sure.
good point. I didn't think of that.
And I guess the other biggest difference I would say is that compared to like Furukawa focuses on like, I think Furukawa's work's a little more pointed. Not in like being more aggressive or anything, but more straightforward, like
linear.
I'm interested in exploring this theme, whereas Ikuhara's like, heh, you little baby, watch this.
I want to explore
like,
these 20
300.
themes.
Yeah. And like he explores the themes sort of as a result of the ways in which those themes interconnect,
There's an intersectionality to it.
His study of gender will be, at least in part, a study of it and the ways that like gender is mediated through capitalism. His study of police and like police violence will be them as an extension of the state as an entity to uphold capitalism. And so there's just that like interwoven nature to things.
How do you guys feel about, and I've been wanting to ask you both specifically this since Enta's episode, well, since the first episode, honestly, how when their desire gets revealed at the end, right? So you have Kazuki that kind of almost being outed, and Enta literally being outed by the Kappa, right? In like completely literally undressed, right? So like, and I don't know, I was made to be a little uncomfortable about that, but I'm not queer, so I wanted to ask you guys, like, how did you feel about just Enta specifically just getting totally outed without any agency?
I think it is uncomfortable, but like intentionally so.
Yeah, if anything, like the queer nature of what is being revealed about them And then in Toy's case, it's also taboo. It's not queer, but it's an act of criminal violence. Sort of drives home the discomfort and like the real intimate nature of what opening up and what truly connecting entails, because a big focus of the series is about the alienation that people have experienced and the ways in which they've been distanced and no longer connect.
Yeah.
I mean, the connection is connection is everywhere. It's in the damn titles, right? This idea of connecting with others. No, I was Zeri. I don't know how you feel. It was something that I've been really wanting to ask you, because I was like, I just didn't know how to feel about it. like I was very uncomfortable. Specifically,
and even like the katakana, is part of a literal cell phone connection symbol.
Well, but it's also like it's like a yell in a certain way as well.
For sure. I'm just saying, like, it takes it and does the things on it throughout the show. It will like occasionally do that cell phone connectivity. So like it's evoking connection, and if we're saying like on its own has none of those other curved lines on top of it, so it's a dead connection in that sense.
But yeah, I don't know. I think the outing is definitely like very uncomfortable, but I think that uncomfortability, I don't think it's like reveling in it.
No.
And it's always to the characters like a violation of their privacy. So I feel like if anything,
Toy is the same. So like it showing like an even handling of it across. Not
if anything, I think it's really like talking about how like this communication like violates our privacy in a certain way inherently. Like this like social media, like having phones as like a way of connecting to other people doesn't have like the same privacy of like real life connections. I feel like that's part of it.
Oh, I also feel like that's illustrated in Kazuki's relationship with Haruka, as he dresses as the idol, right? So he has to kidnap the real idol because he needs to like keep up this facade of fake connection that's through a cell phone, right? Like his closest relationship to Haruka is through a phone. It's through a screen.
Yeah.
Right? It's like through these pixels that are getting transmitted. It's not a real flesh connection that he has with Haruka, and I think that illustrates it as well as anything.
No, and that relationship that they have over the phone is a lie. It's a constructed one on Kazuki's part. So
again, I'm excited to see where this goes, but I can't say entirely yet.
I'm so excited. This is it's so fun. It's like to have something so rich, and it's honestly in a season that there's not a lot to watch. I think it's the perfect season.
What there is so good. Ooh, baby.
Well, this and Carol and Tuesday are fucking amazing.
Carol and Tuesday was so good. You guys see this week?
The new episode? Oh, it's fucking sick.
So good.
And like, what else are we watching this season?
Hitoribochi is really good.
Hitoribochi's cute.
That hit a who? Jack was under the scope was telling me about this. What?
Yeah, I saw on Twitter. Hitoribochi. It's a cute girl show.
Okay.
But a well done one.
That Ufotable show's good. I like it.
Yeah, Kimetsu no Yaiba if you want some shonen.
It's pretty decent. And then the only other thing we're watching is Dororo, which is continued in like Kitaro.
Right.
I'm two episodes behind on that. I think it's fallen off a little bit.
Last episode was a lot. There's
last episode introduced something we've been waiting for.
Oh, did it get good again?
Well, I would say there was stuff there. You'll see. I don't want to like.
There was stuff there. Okay, I guess I'll.
Gianni probably doesn't know this is coming, unlike the fact that we knew it was coming.
Yeah.
Oh, is it bad?
There was stuff there.
Is it problematic?
You could say that,
okay.
But like it also could be. It could go in a good direction. It introduced a thing that could go bad or could go well.
Yeah.
Oh God. And knowing anime, I don't know. We'll see. I'm excited. Yeah, but I think that this airing in a kind of a slow time in anime, I think it's good. I think it's conducive.
For sure.
There's Attack on Titan too, but that kind of that just started. But for the most part, there's not a lot of hype, so it allowed the series to kind of get like a running start.
No, it's definitely nice because like it's a flashy series, so you can like market it and spread it. But I definitely think in a more packed season, it would have gotten drowned out.
Crunchyroll's doing a great job with it, by the way.
For sure.
Like on
Whereas now
social media.
Like, what other show does Crunchyroll have to market? They could just pour every fucking Twitter post into Sarazanmai.
I thought they would
Shield
do a
Heroes
lot
done.
for that. The Ufotable show. It's a Shonen Jump property. It's Ufotable.
Is it
right?
on Crunchyroll?
Yeah, it's on Crunchyroll. It's very easily marketable. I've been surprised that I feel like Sarazanmai, gladly, by the way, is getting a lot of attention from them. I'm like, I like this. This is good.
Yeah, no, it's on Crunchyroll. Oh, that's weird. Yeah, it's oddly little buzz.
Is that Kaya? Is she doing it? Is she in charge of that?
I don't know.
I'm probably saying her name wrong.
We should probably wrap this up.
Yeah,
though.
no,
Yeah.
for sure.
I'm sorry. We always derail with me.
So
We can keep talking after this podcast.
Crunchyroll's YouTube channel started posting like real video essays. And on the front page of Crunchyroll, there was a like, "Hey, take this survey on YouTube content in Crunchyroll." It's like they're really trying to make this push.
What about that?
It's just totally unrelated to Sarazanmai.
I won't derail anymore. I'm not gonna say anything. I want to be good.
Still trying to get that.
All right.
Discount code.
Then, episode 4 was cool.
This has been the Sarazanmai episode discussion. Dishu. Saradishu.
Lachlan Somoe.
Cool. Gianni, you got any last words?
I'm excited for Code Geass. Those are my last words. I'm ready for Lulu. Lulu me up.
Sick. We might bring you back for a future podcast. We might bring on Jack for an episode.
Ooh, you let me know.
Kuniko Ikuhara himself booked for next
I
episode's recording.
imagine if we did though.
So unfortunately, we're not gonna be able to bring you around next.
You're gonna
episode,
bring
but in the
Furukawa on
future.
because you guys are going to ASEN and he's obviously gonna come on the show
my
to
fucking
talk
God.
about.
Ask Furukawa about fucking.
Furukawa,
Jack
what do
and
you
us.
think of the anus in Furukawa? Who would be top star of the 3 boys? Clearly, Toy.
Toy?
Yeah, he'd be top star. He is top star material. He is a Tendo
Is
Maya
my
of the
real
group.
live team optimized? Furukawa, can you give me some tips? I'm only ranked silver 2. I really need to get this bread here, man. Can you up the drop rates for
That
me,
would be
please?
amazing.
Do you have a cheat code that you can pass on over? You're the director. They gotta give you like a code to give you good gotcha polls.
Do you ask Hina-chan? I'm so jealous that Hina's going. You guys are so lucky.
Okay though. All right. We will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Saturday shoot.